Funny. Yeah, of course. My thesis topic is waiting. I usually don't like to give any insight because I want to see what the people think of the topic, but sure. So I'm kind of preparing like an argument pro waiting. I want to develop a philosophy of the beauty of waiting, of the beauty of like empty spaces in time. The like maybe people associate with boredom. I think boredom is a different thing a little bit, but of course you are bored in waiting situations, and people always hate like these situations that there's a tiny amount of time they have at the bus station or in the train or when people don't show up or whatever it is, and get so pissed that they're losing time. And my kind of core argument is you just got gifted some time, because instead of having like the next thing right away, you got an empty space which you can now use and have for yourself. So you just got the time instead of less. Good question. Okay, so it's actually really easy. I was looking for a topic since maybe September last year, and I always had the thing like, as everybody does, like there's a big failure or a big mistake everybody's doing. Like people say, okay, it has to be an installation and it has to be really great and it has to be like a little bit of interactive and a little bit digital, but also not too much, and I don't want to code a lot and this and that. So they're doing a lot of arguments what it all should be, and they have nothing. And I was doing completely the same. I have a little book, or I should have brought it to you. I took a lot of notes all the time, and I said, oh yeah, it should be this and this, and oh, I made a circle, and yeah, this, and blah blah. And I had no clue what I wanted to do. And I think that's a really typical situation for digital media, but probably for everybody, that they don't have a precise interest they want to discover or research on, but rather they have a lot of meta parameters they want to fulfill. So I was in this situation for a couple of months, and I was really looking around and didn't find anything. And at some point I met with Frida to just have a beer, but also maybe discuss a potential topic. And we had an appointment at Teatro, the cafe next to the theater, and it was at 6 o'clock on a Monday or a Tuesday, and I was there really excited to meet him again and having a chat, and I was pretty much on time, and I was sitting there, nobody came. And I was thinking, oh fuck, maybe, or I was thinking probably he's on the way, he's on the bike, he's always going with the bike, and he doesn't have a cell phone, so I cannot reach him. And then it popped. How often does this happen, that you are waiting for somebody, but you cannot reach them, you cannot influence the situation, you cannot say, hey, where are you? Or, oh, I'm not waiting any longer, I'm leaving. I was really much stuck in the situation. I needed to wait. If I would have left, Frida would have come and we would have missed each other. If I would have stayed, I'm in the situation that I certainly don't know if he will show up or not. And I was so fascinated by this, that this situation never happens because of all the cell phones everybody got, that I was really glad that Frida doesn't have a cell phone, and exposed me to the situation, and I said, okay, this is the topic, waiting. Yes and no, like, I mean, waiting is a broad topic, you can do a lot of stuff, and the things really played well together, because like 1 week after this topic popped into my mind, exhibition opened in Hamburg, waiting. And so I went directly to Hamburg to this exhibition and looked at all of the work, and I had the feeling, oh, the works are nice, and you kind of get a perspective on how broad the topic really is. But the exhibition in Hamburg, which was good, was only documenting waiting situations. But you cannot experience waiting. And this was kind of missing for me, so I already had a kind of direction where I want to take it, And I was sure, like, I don't want to do a study on waiting situations. I think it's completely boring to yeah, of course I can say and measure how many people are waiting at the bus stops and how much time is lost or something. Boring. So in the moment that I felt this beauty with the situation with Frida, I figured, okay, the direction is pretty clear. I want to argue for the beauty of waiting, for the beauty of having this kind of empty time. And then later on I figured out the connection to the second part, which is like the slow technology direction. And that was something I found through research. So I already had this idea that there needs to be a slowness in the medium. And then I looked, maybe somebody did this already. And there is a small movement, or like a small bunch of researchers who are working on this, and there was like the first paper who mentioned the term slow technology and kind of invented it in 2001 already. So since then a few people are considering this, but it didn't really get big yet. It's my perspective as a designer, like usually slowness was not something I designed for. Now I think it should be. Yeah, so it's maybe a combination of both. And then something beautiful happened actually. Like I found a researcher from Vancouver who is researching on the slow technology, and he published a lot about it and did a conference workshop on it at this in 2012, and I figured, oh, this guy is maybe really knowledgeable about this, and so I reached out to him and said, oh, can we maybe chat about slow technology, because I'm writing a thesis about it and I'm really interested in the topic. And he got back to me, and we're having a phone call tomorrow. So yeah, there might be something happening with Vancouver as well next year. So yeah, it kind of was a flow of things happening.
That's pretty interesting, and it feels like, you know, right things pop up in the right moment and right thing happen in the right moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I totally believe it could be for everybody like this if you pay attention. So I think the things are there in the world, you just need to be ready to take them at the right moment. Good question. Yes, I always wanted to do a practical part in it, and I could never really decide what it will be, and I'm still not fully decided, even though I kind of made up my mind. So I wanted to maybe stage a waiting performance, for example, to really create this anxiety you have with waiting and get the people that are participating in a situation which is exactly trying to make the point that I'm making in the theory. So this is one part. And then there is a completely different part which developed out of this entire theory of waiting, which will not be part of this thesis because timing-wise, but also topic-wise, it's getting way too large then. So I will finish the thesis with mainly the theory, but I already have the second thing lined up, which is like, if we have, and that's actually the connection to digital media, if we have media all the time, which is designed for fastness and efficiency and precision in the interaction. So if we measure how good something works by speed, besides other things, but mainly like speed is an important measure, then we always get rid of this space of waiting. Then what does it mean for this measure of precision and efficiency in the interaction? And I will argue for that we kind of now having very good technology in regarding to speed, that we kind of need to design for slowness in the interaction already, to make up for the space of reflection and pause and calm. Otherwise we're just in a hurry all the time regarding the interaction of the device. So the second part of this project will be a development of something which is called slow technology, which is not totally regarding waiting, but it kind of, you see, like it has a strong connection. And I think this is the starting point for the master project already. And I already started to build devices in this regard, which kind of are a little bit humorous but also completely honest. I'm building like kind of a speculative design studio project on the side, which is already going in this direction. So it's a kind of a two-layered process. Even though right now I'm really focused on the philosophic part and try to get this finished so I can focus on the second part. I got a lot of philosophy books, which is really good to read. So you can say this is research as well, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's hardly scientific. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm more writing an essay on my opinion on weighting than anything objective or scientific. Okay, actually for this one it's really simple. So for the first part, the essay, it is basically 100% university library.
Okay.
So I went into the search engine of the university library, and it gradually got more and more and more literature, which I found interesting. I don't know really where I started, maybe you can backtrack that. And then I went into the library, looked in a few books, found some things, search again. So now I have maybe like 20 or 30 books at home. Didn't read any of them, but still like lovely. And I all have them physical. No, it's not true. I have a kind of maybe 5 or 10 PDF books as well. I hate them because like the physical book has so much advantage. I can underline stuff and so on and so forth. Okay, we can talk about a lot of between books and PDF, but not now maybe. So mostly it's just books from the library. But the second part, and there I want to build machines, and which have certain things about them, and I'm really building them. Is this technical knowledge for you?
Yeah.
Okay. That is actually mostly digital for sure. Because if I'm coding anything, like if I look at my entire life, when I made stuff, when I was coding stuff, when I'm building stuff with the Arduino, with anything, when I'm ordering parts, when I look how to wire stuff up, it's only online. Definitely. For example, I did a lot of coding in like a couple of weeks ago for one part of this second thing, which was really like weird, like really specific stuff, and it was for the Macintosh, so I used the Apple developer website search engine, which I barely used any time before. And for example, like pages like Stack Overflow, like typical coding pages. Yeah, and for example, like if you have like a reference, like a reference of a framework or a reference of a language, then it's kind of actually good to stick to that system and just use that, because then if you go back to Google and you always find other stuff as well, then it's kind of distracting to have all the results. But if I have a general question, then I always start with Google and work my way through. So, priority-wise, printed book, like professionally printed book, then printed on your own printer, then e-reader, and then LCD screen. Like if you're coding, then it just makes like, it kind of actually, like now that you frame it like this, it's kind of weird to get a coding book and then like read the code printed on a fucking page and then copy it into the computer. Like what? No. So no, like anything I learned in programming, I learned from the computer. Yeah, I think a few papers I got came out of journals, but then I only kind of through the search engine got that part of the journal. I never got the entire journal. No. I know about these journals, but for my particular topic it's not helpful at all. Or I did also not look into it. So no, for this I didn't use any of them. And the big question. Oh Jesus Christ! It's very easy. It doesn't need power. You can always carry it somewhere. You can scroll through. It doesn't take any. So the usability is great already. But more importantly, one topic, one idea is connected to one physical object. This book will only have this contents forever. And this is something we really get kind of lose in the digital algorithmic procedures of consuming content, because the e-reader or the computer or whatever, it can always be something else. So you're losing a lot of focus, you're losing a lot of attention you give something to that. You can always like with a click, it can be something else. You're on one website, you click a link, you're on another. Like the effort to put in to switch from one thing to a different one is so much smaller with digital than it is with physical, and that's actually like a big advantage of the physical, I think. So I can still have 20 books, but each of these physical items, objects, my senses can differentiate these books from another, and I can always say, oh, this is this. I can, of course, I can manipulate it in different ways, underlining, doing stuff with the pages and so on and so forth. But this is really important for me. Like I think actually that's probably my next research topic. I have senses in the physical world. I don't have any senses yet in the digital world. So, or in the digital realm, is maybe a better term. Pro physical objects. So actually for developing ideas or developing like theory, my answer would be writing. So I see writing now these days more as a way to develop the idea further instead of producing an outcome. I can also throw the thing I wrote away, but through the writing I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Secondly, when it comes into practical work, it's just always trying it. It's trying and failing. There's no real recipe for that, but I mean, you learn over time, and for example in code, then you find out the mechanisms, you kind of get quicker at it. But I don't have a secret in that. Like this. Usually I'm really good at figuring it out by online research, for example. Especially with code, it's so easy because there are so many examples online. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think my go-to way in a coding problem would be online research, and trying. And with physical stuff like building an object or doing a circuit or whatever, these days I would ask people in the studio in HFK. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of people sitting around knowing a lot of stuff. It's actually like this amount of knowledge in this room, it's incredible. And that is something I really got to value over the past year. So everybody did something similar before. So if you have a problem, you can basically just say, hey, anybody, do you know about this and that? And somebody will help you. Totally. Like I tend to have at least like 100 tabs open in my browser.
Oh, okay.
So it's really a mess. Like I start with a question, start one Google page, and then I get like tab browsing is the worst invention in the world. Yeah, like I click on a bunch of links, then I have 5 open, then I go into the 5, open a bunch of links as well. So I always keep everything open because I think, oh, maybe I can trace back my way where I came from and go another way again. So I always find an answer, I would say, but it can end up that I have a lot of things open which are kind of duplicate information as well. Mm-hmm. So at some point I have to say, okay, I figured it out, let's close everything again, otherwise I'm so overwhelmed. Like I don't feel lost in a way that I feel unable to navigate the internet. Mm-hmm. I feel pretty confident in it, even though it might be misleading and my mind is thinking, oh, you're on the right track and I'm actually completely lost, could be the case, but I don't feel like, oh fuck, there are 50,000 Google results, how should I handle them? I think that's something I figured out. I totally get distracted. One more argument for the physical books, because they are not distracting you. Mm-hmm. The Facebook problem I figured out by now. Like it was maybe a couple of years ago for me that Facebook was a really big thing, and then I was on Facebook all the time. I'm never on Facebook anymore, so that's not a distraction. And I actually got rid of a lot of these common distractions. I also got rid of push notifications on my phone and on my computer. So actually, it's really hard to reach me and on chat or anything. People are really annoyed with me, I know. But I really try to focus, even though sometimes I get distracted by my own thinking. So I'm kind of researching on one question, and then something pops into my mind or leads from that question, and then I figured, oh, this is so interesting, I have to look into that as well. So I'm actually not answering the first question, but I'm building a new one. And for example, a couple of days ago when I was actually wanted to write some theory, I ended up coding something, and it was completely distractive, of course. And I knew it. I was thinking, Jelko, if you really want to get something done, stop this now. But I ended up trying something out for 2 hours, which was completely unrelated to the question. That is an interesting question indeed. Because with the digital, you always have this feeling that everything is really accessible. For example, that you can look through a document or a PDF by pressing like Command F and looking for a word or jumping to a chapter. So the jumps are quicker, and the finding of words at least, or maybe text or something like a topic, is easier. But there's not yet a way to, for example, formulate a question and then find the answer to the question somewhere in a text, because that requires some understanding of the text, and no machine has the understanding of the text. So, which is more time consuming? Maybe the physical is a little bit harder to access, because you need to take more care and more time to figure out the answer. But if the answer is there, you have it in a bigger quality because you took more time and more care. And the digital leads, it is not inherently, but it leads to be more superficial. So maybe you get any answer quicker, but you got less of an idea. So yeah, let's say to find anything, the digital is quicker. Internet is, maybe I get fed up with online stuff more quickly, because the quality is shit and there's so much, so you have to do, instead of focusing on something which is there, you do a lot of comparison and searching. Like if you look at how you spend the time, then I would say like I maybe spend 20% of the time looking for books and 80% reading them. And I think with online stuff, I maybe spend 50% searching and 50% reading, or even worse maybe. So it's more, I get more fed up with when I don't find what I'm looking for, and No, either I don't like the book because I think it's not interesting, then I will put it away. Or if it's interesting, I read it and I really enjoy it, and then I get exhausted after some time of reading, and then I need to take a break. I would think mostly then it's Frida probably who's pointing me at literature, and then he got an influence over me and what I'm reading, sure. If somebody recommends me a blog by saying it, then you can say that. Studio people at Havka or the other classmates, because then we kind of end up talking about something, and then, I saw it there and then I have to check it out, this.
Okay.
I would say I like sometimes I won't really like. I'm really glad for the university library, but sometimes I find books or papers or something they don't have. And also they don't have access to the digital copy. So they always say, it is listed in the system, but we don't have access. So it's really disappointing then, because you could have access if they have the license for it or whatever. So Yeah, but also more access wouldn't make my thesis better. So there needs to be a limit in access, and I'm kind of glad for what we get already.